The client from several of my previous videos, especially video 1, they liked my work so much and they were showing their appreciation. So they took me and my wife, they took us out to Ruth Chris Steakhouse. And while we were there sitting there at dinner, I said, I think I feel confident that I can share with you just how much that golden retriever named Ranger has cost you. And here's that story. I've been working for them for probably just maybe a month or so, and my job at this time was to tear out a bar downstairs and make room for a pool table, bunch of cabinets and stuff. And I was working on painting the walls, and I found their buckets of paint, a 5-gallon bucket, and there was about a gallon left in one of the buckets. And I had it open, and I was using my rollers and painting the wall. And their dog got in the house, and this dog I had already had become familiar with, and he became familiar with me, annoying to me. Anyway, he took this ball and he kept bringing it up to me, and I said, "No, I'm not playing. I'm not playing." So you know what he did? He dropped that ball in the bucket of paint. I looked at him and said, "Now what are you going to do?" Well, he dove in after it, and all I could do was grab my sweatshirt, cover him up, and soap up all that paint and keep him from shaking it all off. Well, that was just the beginning of the story. The next time I was outside, and he was constantly bringing that ball over, he brought the ball over to me, and I had unloaded a bunch of paint. I'd taken some paint to get a color match, and this was industrial paint. It was oil-based, really deep blue-green for the handrail, and I'd had it color matched. And the can I took in was mostly empty, and the lid didn't quite stick on, and you're going to guess the rest of the story, but he got up on the bank where I had put all my materials. Beep, 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 beep. And he got behind that material, and he kept putting that ball in my face. Like, here's the ball, take it. And like, son of a bitch, I grabbed the ball and I threw it behind me. Well, he plowed right through all my supplies, knocking the new can over, which didn't open, but the old can did. And it started spilling this green-blue paint on their colored concrete driveway, tan-colored, beautiful driveway. And I reached down and grabbed what I had close by. I grabbed a mud pan and some blades, and I started scraping it and trying to control it. And as soon as I did that, the other 3 dogs and Ranger, they came in and thought I wanted to pet him. So they were like, and I'm like, no, kicking, pushing, no, go away. So I got them away. I cleaned up the mess as best I could and worked with every chemical I had to try and get that green from not staining the concrete, but you could still tell it was there. I had to tell him about that one at the time because it was their dog. I'm working underneath this deck, this terrazzo deck for the lower floor, and I'm putting in a drain line to run a gray pipe system basically for the laundry because they were having issues with their septic and they were flooding their septic too much. So they wanted to divert it to the landscaping. So I'm running this gray pipe underneath there. But before I could do that, I had to, start crawling through with about 2 foot of space and kept trying to get all the spider webs out of my way. So I said, wait a minute, I can do this. And I grabbed that ball because the dog was naturally right nearby. And I threw it as far as I could underneath that deck. And he scrambled through there and he came back through with the ball covered in spider webs. So I brushed him off real quick and sent him on his way. Well, I had chipped a hole through the brick wall for this thing, and I was going to run my pipe through there. Well, he had gone around the outside and found a way to stick that ball in the hole. It's a smart dog, because I had blocked access so he couldn't crawl in after me. Just a smart dog. I was working in a hot summer. I was on my knees, and he would come up behind me with that ball. It was soaking wet ball, and he would roll it up and down my back, just roll it up and down. And I was like disgusted. I would take it and throw it. Well, this time that I was working on the gate, somebody had driven out the gate too fast, and it was a motorized gate, metal gate, hollow metal steel gate, and someone had wrapped that gate around the brick pole. So I was down there working on straightening it out, cleaning it up, and doing some welding and stuff. He had this invisible collar on his neck. so he couldn't go past the barrier in case that gate, because the gate would open up and be open for too long and he could easily run out. So they were training him not to go past that gate. Well, he knew he couldn't get close to the gate, so he couldn't also bug me with a damn ball. But he found out where he could go up the curved slope and drop that ball so it would roll down and hit my feet. I tell you, this dog has some smarts. Ranger. Just a golden retriever with a personality. The pool guy is the guy who taught him not to be ball crazy, but to go in after balls, because he took the tennis ball. He used to put it in the skimmer to divert the water so he can get his vacuum working. He took a tennis ball from home and he drilled holes in it and he filled it full of water by squeezing it on the side and he threw it in the pool. Well, the dog would dive in after it down to the bottom of the pool and come up with the ball in his mouth and then shake water all over poor John. Anyway, that's another story. So I was working in this well tank. It's about a 5,000-gallon well tank. It's galvanized steel. And it had started rusting around the outside, and the owner wanted me to fix the leaks, the rusted leaks. So the best thing I could think of was just grinding the rust smooth and then applying some epoxy and mesh over the bottom edges of this tank. So I did the outside of the tank first because I had free access, no problems, no ventilation issues. But then I crawled down inside the tank. There was a big hole in the top, big enough for me to get down in there, headlights and all. And I had a nice, good breathing mask. And I had bought these eye goggles that had padding around them, gasket material, because this material, this epoxy, had a high VOC, incredible high VOC, and it was burning the hell out of my face and eyes. So what it ended up doing was holding the vacuum that I was using to pump fresh air in against my face while I worked with the other hand, and I'm screeding over this fiberglass and filling all the resin. And so all of a sudden, that air stopped. That fresh air stopped. Jump up out of there, and I look, he had taken the tennis ball and blocked the suction port of that tank. I tell you, I miss this dog. I don't miss those episodes, and there are plenty more to share, but I do miss that dog. What a personality, and what a brain for a golden retriever. They had two other golden retrievers, and they had a king cavalier that was named Calvin. Lots of dogs, lots of clients and their dogs. I had one that whenever I'd walk in the door and I'd reach down to pet him, he would peel over the floor and have to go get paper towels to clean up the mess. So I learned to not make eye contact. But if you're in the market for a house doctor, a handyman with lots of experience, and even a guy your dog might even like, then reach out for me at mrpHixer.com. You can text me from that website. You can text me from my Google business profile, and I'll respond and see if I can help you. Not with your dog, but with your home repairs.